I didn't scream when I found out. I just sat there and let everything fall into place. For 8 years, my life had been simple, predictable in the best way. I worked as a project manager in a mid-sized construction firm just outside Manchester. Long hours, decent pay, nothing glamorous, but stable. And at the end of every day, I came home to her.
Emma.
She was the kind of person people trusted instantly. Soft voice, warm smile, always remembering small details about others. We met at a mutual friend's dinner, and within 6 months, we were inseparable. Within 2 years, we bought a house together. Not big, but ours. Everything about our life felt earned. We didn't have children yet. Not because we didn't want them, but because we were waiting for the right time. At least, that's what we told ourselves. Looking back, I think I was the only one waiting. It didn't happen all at once. There wasn't some dramatic moment where everything cracked open.
It was smaller than that. Quiet.
Emma started coming home later. At first, it made sense. She'd recently taken a new role in marketing, more responsibility, more pressure. She'd vent about deadlines, difficult clients, last-minute changes. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? But then the pattern shifted. She'd be glued to her phone, smiling at messages she wouldn't show me. If I walked into the room, the screen would tilt away just slightly. Not obvious, but enough. One night, I asked casually, "Everything all right at work?" She smiled. Too quickly.
Yeah.
Just busy. And that was it. No fight. No suspicion, not yet. But something inside me adjusted. I started noticing things I hadn't before. The way she dressed differently for late meetings. The faint scent of a cologne that wasn't mine. The way she'd sometimes seem distant, even when sitting right next to me. Still, I said nothing. Because part of me didn't want to know.
It was a Tuesday when everything changed.
I had left work early, unexpectedly. A client meeting got canceled. And for once, I thought I'd surprise her. Maybe cook dinner. Do something normal. Something good. Her car wasn't in the driveway when I got home. Not unusual. But as I walked inside, something felt off. The house was quiet in a different way. I don't know why I did it. Maybe instinct. Maybe denial looking for proof. I walked upstairs.
Slowly.
The bedroom door was slightly open. And that's when I heard it. A voice. A man's voice.
Low.
Comfortable. Familiar in a way that made my stomach tighten before my mind even caught up. I didn't burst in. I didn't shout. I just stood there listening. Her laugh came next.
Soft.
Intimate. Not the kind of laugh you give to strangers. That's when I knew. Still, I opened the door. And there they were.
Emma.
And Daniel. Daniel wasn't a stranger. He'd been to our house. Sat at our table. Drank from our glasses. He was one of her colleagues, the one she'd mentioned in passing dozens of times. Daniel helped with this project. Daniel says the client's difficult. Daniel thinks we should. Daniel. They both froze when they saw me. Time didn't explode like people imagine. It slowed down. Emma pulled the sheets up, eyes wide, breathing uneven. Daniel stood there awkwardly, like a man caught in someone else's life. No one spoke for a few seconds. Then Emma whispered, I can explain. I remember nodding, not because I believed her, but because I didn't need to hear it. I know, I said quietly. And that was the truth. Because in that moment everything made sense. The late nights, the distance, the subtle changes. It all aligned perfectly. Daniel tried to say something, an apology, maybe, but I raised a hand slightly.
Don't, I said. And he stopped.
I walked out of the room. No shouting. No broken glass. No dramatic exit. Just silence. That night, I slept on the sofa. Emma didn't come down. I stared at the ceiling for hours, replaying everything. Not just the betrayal, but the years before it. Wondering where it started. When it became real. And, strangely, I didn't feel rage. I felt clarity. The next morning, Emma came downstairs. Her eyes were red. She looked smaller somehow.
We need to talk, she said.
I nodded. We sat at the kitchen table, the same place we'd planned our future. It didn't mean anything, she said quickly. It just happened.
I almost smiled at that.
Nothing just happens like that. But I let her speak. Let her fill the silence with explanations, justifications, fragments of guilt. When she finished, I asked one question. How long? She hesitated. 3 months. 3 months. 90 days of lies. I nodded again. Okay, I said. That was all. No accusations. No insults. Just acceptance. And that confused her more than anger ever could. Over the next few days, I acted normal. I went to work, cooked meals, even asked her how her day was. She didn't know what to do with that. She expected a storm, but I gave her calm, because while she was trying to repair something already broken, I was
Revenge
doesn't have to be loud to be devastating.
Planning.
In fact, the quiet ones hurt the most. For the next few weeks, I became the version of myself Emma had always trusted. Predictable, steady, unshaken. We didn't officially break up. Not immediately. She thought maybe, just maybe, things could go back. That was her first mistake. I started paying attention, not to her words, but to her patterns. She said she'd ended things with Daniel. But habits don't disappear overnight. Late messages still came. Subtle changes in tone when his name appeared. The occasional work emergency that didn't quite add up. I didn't confront her. I documented it.
Dates. Times.
Behavior. Not obsessively, just carefully. At work, I made a quiet call to a friend, Mark, who worked in corporate compliance. Nothing illegal. Just information. Hypothetically, I asked him, what happens if 2 employees in the same department are involved in a relationship that violates company policy? Mark laughed lightly. Depends. If it's undisclosed and affects work, could be serious. Why? Just curious. But I wasn't just curious. Because Daniel wasn't just a colleague. He was her direct supervisor. That changed everything. Over the next month, I gathered enough. Messages. Call logs. Even a few recorded conversations, not private ones, just things she said openly on calls when she thought I wasn't paying attention. Nothing fabricated. Everything real. Meanwhile, I made another move. I met with a solicitor. Divorce isn't just emotional, it's strategic. Our house was in my name. I had bought it before we married. Emma had contributed to renovations, yes, but legally ownership was clear. I didn't rush it. I waited. Because timing matters. Then one Friday evening, Emma came home earlier than usual. She looked lighter, relieved almost. I told him it's over, she said. I looked up from my laptop. Daniel? She nodded. I want us to fix things, she said. I really do. I studied her face. For a moment, I saw the woman I used to love. And maybe that's why what I did next felt so necessary. I believe you, I said softly. Her shoulders relaxed. That was the moment she thought she was safe. 2 days later, everything unraveled. It started at her office. An internal investigation had been opened. Anonymous report. Conflict of interest. Undisclosed relationship. Potential misuse of authority. Daniel was suspended immediately. Emma was called into HR.
She didn't know it was me.
Not yet. By the time she got home that evening, her hands were shaking. There's been a complaint, she said. About us. I nodded slowly. That's serious. I don't understand who would. She stopped mid-sentence. Because in that moment she saw it. Not anger. Not betrayal. Just calm. You, she whispered.
I didn't deny it.
I just said, I didn't lie. And that was worse. Because she couldn't argue with truth. But I wasn't done. A week later, she received the official notice. Termination. Policy violation. Breach of professional conduct. Daniel lost his job too. 2 careers gone. Not destroyed by me. By their own choices. That same evening, I handed her an envelope. What's this? She asked, already knowing. Read it. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Divorce papers. And the house? She asked quietly. It's mine, I said. Legally. Silence filled the room. The same room where everything once felt safe.
You planned all this, she said.
I looked at her. Not with hatred, not with satisfaction, just honesty. I paid attention. Tears rolled down her face. I made a mistake, she said. I shook my head slightly. No, I replied. You made a choice. She left that night. No screaming. No begging. Just consequences. Months passed. Life didn't magically become perfect, but it became clear. Peaceful, in a way I hadn't expected. One evening, I sat alone in the house, the same house, and realized something strange. I didn't feel like I'd taken revenge. I felt like I'd restored balance. Because, in the end, I didn't break her life. I simply stepped aside and let the truth do it for me.